Oh, yeah, we live now. That's all right. Only like 3 people are watching on YouTube. It's fine.
All right, ready?
I am.
Yeah, I just got a YouTube notification saying that we're live.
Nice.
So, all right. And 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? We are back. Sorry for the little hiatus we took there.
Yeah. It was life on life's terms,
It
basically.
is life on life's terms. I'm Tom Robinson, a grateful recovering addict. And like I always say, we are not affiliated with any 12-step program. And that basically means that they are not responsible for anything that happens here.
Right.
You know?
I'm Chris Mandeville. I'm a man in long-term recovery. We're here at a New Way Recovery Center in Quincy, Mass. on Quincy Ave.
Ain't that amazing?
They are very gracious to let us come here and provide you with this podcast. They've been doing so for over 2 years.
Yeah, we're going on 3, kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What? November will be 3?
We launched in December, beginning of December, but we had been recording already for a couple of months. So
Holy shit.
yeah,
Time flies.
time to get a sponsor.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Time to monetize this son bitch. Yeah, like you can find our audio podcast at lolterms.com.
Yeah, or on Apple Podcasts.
Google Play,
Google Play.
any podcast platform we are available on, and they're great. The sound quality is really good. Tom takes some time and does what he can with the audio.
Yeah, we put it through a filter, kind of equals out the levels and stuff, so you're not going to get any problems. Listen to it in headphones and all that good shit.
Yep, and yeah, like you said, there's no one responsible for what we say here. These are our opinions, and you know that it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But that being said, there is a way to do this stuff, and there's a way not to do this stuff. So,
Yep. And for
but
me,
you need to
12-step
find that
was-
out for yourself.
Yeah, 12-step was integral in my recovery.
Yes, absolutely. It definitely helped me.
You know.
So tonight we have Marshall. Actually met you through Pam. I got a I got a friend request, and I'm like, who is this guy? And I go on to mutuals. I'm like, holy shit, there's a lot of mutuals. But I don't think you had a picture, or I couldn't see your picture because we weren't friends.
I don't ever put my picture on my social media stuff. Like
Yeah.
I shift it up of like different themes and stuff. So.
Marshall,
So-
can you bring the mic close to you?
Oh yeah, sure. Let me pull it up and.
And
Is that better? Right
yep.
there.
Much
And
better.
then I see a message request, and I click on it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that explained it. It was through Pam, who you had come here for a meeting or something.
Yeah. I came here to meet Pam because we're in the process of trying to get a recovery center on the North Shore of Massachusetts, up in like Beverly, Salem, Lynn area.
Yeah, down here there's quite a few of them, but up there there's not, huh?
No, on the North Shore we have tons of treatment options, detoxes, IOPs, like outpatient type of places.
Yep.
Recovery coaches. We have a lot of like community type based stuff in Lynn and Salem, but we don't have like a recovery center, something like they have here that has like all the multiple pathways that bridges all the different, groups and meetings that they have.
And that's the thing. Like this place is pretty good. Like if you're looking for a certain type of meeting, check this place out because they
Yeah,
have
tons and tons
so
of
many
meetings.
different meetings.
Yeah.
It's like all inclusive. No one's excluded.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter how you got sober, where you got sober, what you're doing now. Like, there's a lot of resources down here. They have veterans meetings, they have women's meetings, they have young people's meetings, you name it, and it's here. Which,
Right.
you know,
Which is a
one-stop
very good thing.
shopping's a lot easier. You know what I mean? It's kind
Yeah.
of like it's kind of like an Amazon page for recovery. You know what I mean? You just
Yeah.
click on.
Well, I'll tell you what. You bring people from different walks together, and you learn more. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely.
That's the way it goes every time.
And you know the same goes with out at South Shore Peer Recovery Center. They have so many different types of meetings, and you know the recovery centers are back up and running. You do have to social distance. You do have to wear a mask. We are social distance We're not wearing masks.
We're
because,
very social.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to talk to a microphone with a mask, but
Yeah. I think we're
you know, these places are open. They may be limited on how many people they can have in there. You do have to, practice the anything that you have to do to go into a store or whatever. But you can still get to live meetings. Like I don't know about anybody else, but I've had enough of fucking Zoom. It worked, and I'm really grateful for it. It was, I do a refuge recovery meeting out of SSPR, and I still broadcast it on Zoom because some people are still, they don't want to, see people or
they like the
be in
Zoom.
public. Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's more Zoom meetings starting all the time. So, how did you end up in recovery?
Yeah, let's
Wow,
let's hear some of your story.
Get
it's
into
like
it,
a
man.
loaded question. That's a
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah.
well, thanks for coming and sharing, man.
Yes, I appreciate you reaching out to me, and you wouldn't think it would be, but it can be difficult to get guests.
Oh yeah, every week.
Yeah, every week.
years.
Yeah,
Dude.
we have over 100. We have over 100 audio podcasts that you can listen to.
Yeah.
So check out lolterms.com. Definitely,
we love it though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
I wish I had a guest every single week.
Yeah,
you
me
know?
too.
I've gone through a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
A lot of iron workers.
Well, I love it too, guys. So I'm just glad to be here, and I'm glad you're having me here today. So my journey from drug addiction, substance abuse, into recovery, that was a long journey. I'm sure, as for all of us who've gone through these things. So I guess maybe I'll give a little backstory.
yeah.
Go into my history.
Yeah.
A lot
absolutely.
they say a lot of this stuff's based in our childhood, and that's kind of where it started for me.
And a lot of it is, they're realizing now that it's based in traumas.
Yes, trauma. Well, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the traumas we experience, a term I use a lot is escapism.
Yep.
And when I was young, that was the thing. I didn't want to have to deal with the pain because it was ever present, family issues. I think the real issue began my parents got divorced when I was young.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's
know?
trauma.
My dad left at 7.
Yeah, so me too. 7 is exact. But even before that, it was brutal. Because the fights were just so intense, and we were just so young. I have my sister and I. We lived in a small house in a town called Hamilton, Massachusetts, which is a very wealthy town. It's an equestrian town, which means they got horses.
Yeah.
How many of these towns?
Yeah,
have that
yeah.
anymore.
I think I put a fence up out there one time. Where is that? Western Mass?
No, it's on the North Shore. It's a
On the
North.
North
It's
Shore?
a North Shore-y town.
All right.
Up
Like
near,
Newburyport up
yeah,
that way.
Oh,
yeah, near
okay.
Gloucester and
Yeah,
stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not for nothing, Gloucester is where a lot of this stuff started.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
with the
recovery
boats.
high school.
Oh yeah.
16 and recovering. Have you watched that?
Yeah, so that's in Beverly. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I actually just spoke with the woman that runs that. Her name
That's
is Michelle,
awesome.
and she's just an amazing person, and she's doing so much for the community and the kids because
That
especially-
show was good. If you have children and you think that they're using or they have problems, check out 16 and recovering. It's actually really good.
Yeah, I watched one episode so far. I don't watch TV, and I abstain from music. Those are two things I'm always have my eye on the prize. But I watched the first episode, and it really touched me. I was tearing up.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's definitely emotional.
Yeah, well, we all know what it's like to be a kid and to be messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So you grow up in this
Equestrian town.
equestrian town.
Yeah, so we grew up there, right? But we were poor. We lived in this. It was a Christian community. It's called Asbury Grove, and it's surrounded by swamps, right?
Oh yeah.
All around us, and so that was the thing I did when I was a kid. I used to hang out in the swamp
That's
with my buddies.
I grew up partially in Norwell. We had a lot of swamps in Norwell too.
Yeah, so I was like a nature guy. So before my parents divorced, there was fighting. Then they got divorced, and that's where the depression came. It set in, right? And
Yeah.
I began misbehaving in school, class clown, trying to get attention all the time.
I say
you
that.
you guys
My
can
my
relate to
first
it?
addiction was attention.
Relate.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still suffer from that one occasionally.
Yep.
So I would act out in school, get in trouble. My mother was beside herself because she was working, trying to raise my sister and I. And, you know, she came from a kind of a tough upbringing, you know, with her parents. So she was really rough with me. And I didn't like that. And she
Right.
was an alcoholic, you know. I love my mother. She's been clean like almost 5 years now.
Nice.
And it really touched my heart when she did that. She did it after I got clean.
Oh, beautiful.
But back in those days, she had a real problem with drinking. So, you know, it was really difficult for her to raise kids, have this drinking problem, and have to support us. So there was like a lot of fights between us, and that caused.
Just imagine the stress.
Oh, it was
You
just
know?
yeah, on her and on us and in the family. You know, like sometimes we'd eat dinner. Dinners were like a silent affair because everybody was mad at everybody. And then like my little sister, like she didn't know what to do, so she was quiet.
Yeah.
You know, so there
Big
was just
time trauma.
trauma and
Yeah.
like a lot of strife. So what happened was when I was a kid, they sent me to a psychologist. Like, what's wrong with this kid? He's not doing good in school. So they said, well, he's got ADHD.
Oh,
You know?
so easy. Give him meth. Give him some meth.
And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, they hooked you up.
they hooked me up with some Adderall, and
Right.
I was off and running. I had a little buddy who used to come over to my house, and his older brother had Adderall too. And he said, "Oh, you got Adderall?" I said, "Yeah, I do." He's like, "Go get a couple." So I went down, I grabbed my pill bottle, and he took them, and then he smushed them all up, and we started sniffing rails.
Oh.
I was like 11 at the time, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I was just a little guy.
Ugh.
And yeah, so like, you know, so that was right in there. That went right into the bloodstream. And
Oh, yeah.
Oh wow! you
yeah,
know,
that was a
methamphetamine.
joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Good times.
I got, you know, I was hooked on that. I remained I kept a C average in school. So I got my Adderalls. And that's kind of like, you know, that set the stage for my life. It was just this substance use. I started drinking. My mother had this boyfriend, Peter. His name was Peter Wynn, and he was an alcoholic as well. And this guy was a monster, right? 7'1". You know what I mean? Like he's like something you'd see would walk off a longboat. You know what I mean? Like 1,000 years ago. You know?
Yeah. Viking.
Yeah, this guy
Yeah,
was
yeah.
massive. And he worked and he did demolition for the city, you know, and he would be like this guy would polish almost a 30-pack a night, and he was like a blackout drinker.
Ugh.
So when I was like 12 years old, I started drinking his beers, like because him and my mother would scurry upstairs, you know, towards the end of the night, and I'd sneak out of my room. I'd go through his wallet because he got cash, right? So he had this big fat wallet just full of like hundreds and fifties and stuff, right? So I'd be pulling money out of his wallet. I'd be taking 2 or 3 of his beers, and I'd drink beers like in the middle of the night by myself. And it was the best feeling, man. Like I felt good, you know?
Oh, yeah. I can remember thieving vodka off my uncle, you know, when nobody was there. You know what I mean? You sit there drinking by yourself and like, this is great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You think it's so wonderful. It's like that is not normal. Like you shouldn't be drinking by yourself, sitting there
But
down
you-
by yourself.
we don't even realize that we're just seeking some relief, and it's giving it to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel, I
We
wanna
have no
feel
idea
good,
that
yeah.
we're doing that.
Right.
Just like I'm not supposed to do this, so let me do it, and
So I'm gonna do it.
We'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah.
Right.
You
And
know,
that's the coddling, like you know what I mean, like the booze, like that, like the beers, that was like a coddling for me. Like it made me feel good. Like that was the hug, that was the attention,
Yep.
that was the
Right.
good feeling,
Right.
right? Because that's what I was looking for.
that
So
little bit of comfort.
that comfort, yeah. So I got into that, and you know, I really, it wasn't crazy. It was every now and again, and I do it with my friends. I had a crew of like other like kind of like broken home kids that I used to hang out with, and you know, Hamilton doesn't have a lot of those, but there was a few of us, and we definitely grouped together, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Just for the whole identity thing.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
you know, and we was poor. Yeah. You know, I wore the Payless shoes to school. You know, like those were a big. That was something to laugh at. You know, the four,
Oh, yeah, the
four
MA
stripes.
Oh, yeah.
MA 100s,
Yeah, there you go.
some Velcro.
And I was fat too, so like I was just losing on all fronts. You know.
Yeah, and kids
Yeah.
are fucking brutal, and they've
Oh,
only
man.
gotten worse with social media and.
As I remember, it was like you're always kind of curious, wondering if there's something really wrong with you. Like you're wondering, you're like, is there something wrong with me? Am I not as good as these other people? You know what I mean? That's kind of like
Yeah.
the default question, like, am I all right? And you're always worried that you can't. But then when you get fucked up, it's like, who cares? It's like
Right.
a relief from that.
And and like you're mentioning that was for us a long time ago,
Yeah.
right? But for kids now, that's all they think about. That's all
Right.
they think about with the way that
social media. Yeah.
Have you watched
Yeah.
The Social Dilemma?
No. I remember seeing it on one of
Dude.
those streaming platforms. I forget which one.
It is pretty fucked up.
Oh,
like
yeah.
we are lab rats.
Yeah.
One, do yourself a favor. Like you'll probably delete all your shit. If I didn't have to do this, I'd probably delete my account.
Yeah.
Serious, because it's fucking bad. They are using all the same things that we use to get fucked up. Like
Oh, yeah.
hitting the dopamine centers.
yeah,
Like
reward
they
systems.
they
Oh.
are, and AI has like completely taken it over. Like they think that they're controlling it, but they're not.
Wow.
It-
yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
It adjusts everything, like how long you look at a picture. Like seriously, just take a look at this
Gotta check it
flick.
out.
Yeah,
This is not the first time someone's mentioned this. This has been mentioned multiple times.
it's like it can be
Well-
good, but the biggest kicker for me was all the people that developed this don't let their fucking kids use it.
Well, yeah. Oh, really? That's
They-
what they said?
All the people that
Wow.
these are people that work for these companies and are no longer working for them,
Wow.
and they're fighting to get regulations put in place so that they're not doing what they're doing to us. But
Wow.
my kids do not have social media. They don't have it.
Well, here's the thing that occurs to me and it bothers me is, going back to your story, like, okay, so you're a kid, you go through trauma, now put in social media. It's like you're just seeing the best of somebody else's life. So you're like thinking, yeah, my life really does suck. I really
Yeah.
am fucked up,
which most likely isn't true. So
Right.
It's like as a kid you don't know any better. Like when
That's right.
People like I'm sure with us we start these addictions early. We did
Yeah.
it when we didn't really have a chance to make a real conscious decision on whether we should do these things or not.
That's
'Cause
right.
We didn't know any better. We didn't really
Exactly.
understand. So
Acting off instinct.
same thing with the social media. Kids don't know any better. They're just reacting off instinct to what's in
Right.
front of them, right?
Yeah.
So
So anyway, stealing the guy's beers.
Yeah, sorry,
All
we
right, so-
hijacked it.
hijacked. So here I am, right? I'm like
Yeah.
12 years old, and like the big life changer for me was I got introduced to marijuana, right, through my friends.
Okay. Yep.
And I smoked some weed with my buddies. And the first time I smoked it, I got sick as a dog. I was like, "This is awful."
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Because it was
terrible.
powerful stuff, probably.
I don't know. It made me feel sick.
Yeah. Wow.
But then someone convinced me to smoke it again, and I smoked it again. And I felt like $1,000,000. I felt amazing. I felt
Right.
good. I was laughing. I was having fun. I felt giggly and I felt bubbly. I was like, I felt amazing. And that became my thing, man. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I told myself, I'm gonna smoke weed and I'm going to have a good time. And I was like,
This is it. I've arrived.
I've arrived.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like 12 or 13 at the time, and like me and my mother were having real issues. Like she knew I was up to no good, but I was gonna lie about it because I'm not gonna tell her nothing because I don't trust her.
Right.
I don't trust school figures, authority figures. I don't anybody that I feel like is gonna try to stop me from having a good time is my enemy.
Yep.
Right.
And we bumped heads. She kicked me out. I was living with my father. He had married a woman. She had two older sons. They were like 4 and 5 years older than me. So I moved to another town. I was living with my father, my stepmother, my stepbrothers. I was just doing the same shit, man. Just running around with the kids in the neighborhood, getting high, drinking, and
it's everywhere.
yeah, that was my life. And around that time, I started hustling. I realized that if I had to provide myself with drugs, I got to make money, right?
Yeah.
I got to be able to bring in an income so I can buy weed. And plus, I wanted friends. I'm fat and I'm insecure. And, I was kind of like a soft, quiet kid. So I figured the best way to make friends was to have something that people want, which would be weed. So
Yeah.
I was selling weed. And,
Right.
the those were tough years for me. Between those years, my stepmother kicked me out of the house. I was living with my buddy and his mother. She took care of me. My father and stepmother got divorced. My father got an apartment. My father, he has a bipolar illness, so he has like mental breakdowns and stuff. And he really wanted me to move in with him. He was all by himself. And I said, all right, I'm moving with my dad in this town, Danvers, Massachusetts, on the North Shore.
Yep.
And my dad's a sweetheart. I love him. But the thing with my father is my father's not a disciplinarian.
So, so you're taking advantage of that.
So I took advantage. Like I moved in with him. And he told me, I remember the words. He's like, son, he's like, I'm going to raise you like my father raised me. And I'm going to let you learn your own lessons,
Yeah.
So I was like, nice. Here we go.
Perfect.
So, I just started hustling like a lot. I got introduced to like LSD, and I'd been dabbling with it at that point. I was like 15, but I met these kids that were touring with Fish, and they started shipping LSD to me in the mail from like Colorado.
Nice.
So I was getting all dosed up like every day, tripping out, running around, selling acid to all the kids in town. We would start going to the raves. The rave scene was hip at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And we were partying, doing that. Because you could be like, 15, 16 years old. You get no bracelet. You go right into these clubs,
Yeah, right.
So now you're hanging out with people that are in their 20s,
Yeah, just you're not getting alcohol.
Not getting alcohol, but you know what I mean?
okay.
When you got a pocket full of ecstasy.
Everything
and,
else
and,
that you
Cares
need.
about
and
alcohol.
LSD,
Yeah. All you
what
want
does
is
that matter?
water. yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was doing that. And during that time, I threw my education away. I didn't really do good in school. I ended up dropping out my senior year, genius that I was. My father convinced me to get my GED. I went and got it. And, that was what it was. It was just me, like, battling these addictions. But I didn't really get into hard drugs at that age. That came later. Now, when I was 20 years old, I had reached a point in my life where I needed direction. So I got sick of sitting on my couch selling weed every day. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd suck.
well, yeah, it's like you look at yourself. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm a young guy. What am I doing with my life?
Right.
I can make more money
Going
than something
nowhere.
other than weed.
Yeah. But my first thinking was I had worked on a fishing boat out of Gloucester when I was like 16. I made $150 a day. I was like, that was a good job. I love the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
I went down to Gloucester, and if you could imagine, like, I went around asking for jobs, and nobody wanted to hire me. I'm just a kid, right? And I come across this boat. It was like 100 years old. You know what I mean? It looked like something that somebody just pulled out of like Pirates of the Caribbean. You know what I mean? And I asked for a job. The guy gave me a job. So,
Now, did you tell him you wanted $150 a day?
well, I didn't. I just said, like, listen, I want a job on a boat. I want to be a fisherman. That's me. You know what I mean? Like that's you know what I mean? I'm just a simplistic type of thinker.
You're looking for another identity again.
I'm looking for an identity. I'm looking to be a somebody.
I was gonna be. You were gonna. That's what I'm gonna do. You just said that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna smoke weed. That's me now.
That's me.
And so then you're like, all right, I'm sick of this weed. I'm gonna be a fisherman. That's me now.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
That's what we do. It's so common though, and people don't even realize it. You're searching for belonging. You're searching for somewhere to be. Someone to say, I'm this. I'm okay because I'm this.
We're looking for a
Exactly.
You know what I
community.
mean?
A community. Yeah,
Community,
somewhere we
that's
belong.
right.
That's primal. Like,
Yep.
yeah.
that's something that we can't. That's been programmed into us for thousands and thousands of
Yeah.
years.
Right.
We got this
Try it.
brain. We got this body. I want to do something with it.
Yep.
You know
That's
what I mean?
that's like caveman brain shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not
It
ashamed
is.
to admit it that I'm probably a caveman brain. You know.
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
over.
We all
So
have.
easy a caveman could do it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I worked on this boat, you know, and it was a little rough, but we made some money. I had some fun, and I got into that lifestyle. I met this girl. She was amazing. We fell in love. Like, we were going to get married, but I was 20 years old. I was out on a fishing trip, and I get a call, right? The Coast Guard calls in, talks to one of the guys on the boat. Someone in my family had passed away. So we're out. I'm
Ooh.
thinking it's my grandfather. I'm like, hey, I told the guys they want to make money. It's close, you know. It's in the winter. It's close to Christmas, I think, if I remember correctly. But I said, let's just keep fishing. You know what I mean? I don't want you guys to go home empty-handed. Fish another couple days. I ended up getting like an pneumonia. It was awful. I had to go to the hospital. But when we come in, my girlfriend came to pick me up, and I asked her, I'm like, who in my family died? And she says, I don't want to tell you. And I said, well, you're gonna have to. I'm gonna find out. You got to tell me. You have to tell me who it is. And she said, your little sister died.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
expect that.
Yeah, and I was crushed.
Damn.
Like,
Wow.
that was like that. Me and my sister were tight. You know what I mean? We went through hell together, and my whole life in my mind, I visualized having a whole life with her. And
Yeah.
now she was gone. I was just destroyed. She had a boyfriend in Florida. She'd go down there. They'd been fighting. She went down there. They were fighting. He gave her a whole bunch of pills, and he's pretty much told her. He said, "Here." They were fighting. He said, "Eat these pills." He's like, "Why don't you kill yourself?" And she did, and she ended up ODing and dying.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
So
Did they ever prosecute the guy?
it's just one of those things you can't really prosecute people, right? Because
Yeah.
people make a choice to put pills in their mouth.
Right.
You know, and she went to a bar that
Fuck.
night and was drinking, and then
Mm.
she was underage, and she went home, went into a coma, and she passed away. She OD'd.
Oh, sorry. That sucks,
Yeah.
man.
How old?
She was I was 20. She was 18 at the time.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's
So,
2 years between me and my sister too.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, so it was a tough one for me, and
That's the dichotomy, man. We grow up and like we're supposed to be adults at 18, but people are still babies at 18 mentally. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean, you're
absolutely.
not making great choices, man, and you have all the choices. You have all the choices, but you don't have the wherewithal, the wisdom to make the choices.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that, brother.
yeah, so that was tough. But instead of making the right choice, and this is on me at that time, I felt bad for myself, and I started partying, hanging out with old friends, trying to feel good, trying to get through the depression and the pain.
Yep.
And I was
you
drinking.
use it as
Yeah.
fuel.
I was smoking weed every day. I was hanging out with bad friends, going to the bars. So this is where my life changed. I got introduced to cocaine at this time. Now, it really wasn't a drug that I enjoyed using because I started going to the bars, and I tried it. It wasn't my thing, but everyone else was really into it. People started asking me if I could get it. And I had some connections that could get that stuff, some of my weed connects. So I started buying it and selling it. And then I kind of fell in love with selling the drug because it's small. It's easy to conceal. People want to pay a lot of money for it.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
that's what I started hustling coke. That's what I started doing. And around the same time, I got introduced to pharmaceutical opiates.
Oh, yeah,
I don't got no cash, but I got these.
yeah,
Yeah, there
Then
you
you
go.
start bartering, and it's like, all right, you want this? I'll take that.
One of the strongest relationships. Like one of my best friends, he's a friend to this day. That's how our relationship developed. I'd trade him coke for Vicodins, to the blueberries, the 10 milligrams. Because he
Yep.
liked that, and I like what he had. So, and that's what I did. I just kept hustling, and I kept fishing. Me and my girlfriend broke up, and I was just running, man. It was like literally I was on like a 6-year bender from like the age of 20 to 26. Got into the OCs. Eventually, I was sniffing heroin, and I was just fighting to feel good,
yes.
fighting not to get sick eventually.
Yeah.
And I'd
Oh,
do
yeah.
anything. And like I had these grandiose kind of like dreams of I'm going to be this big drug dealer. I'm going to make millions of dollars. I started up like I had, I tried to get my hands in everything. I had a little business I was running. I had trucks, and I had like a dump truck, and I had a box truck. And I'll tell you guys a funny story. I was high in Boston one day doing a moving job on my box truck, and I went under one of the tunnels. It's not like high enough for certain trucks.
Shear the roof right off.
Oh yeah, I peeled that thing back like a sardine can.
Nice. I thought only the college kids did that.
Nah, I did it, and then,
Stay off Storrow Drive.
yeah, it was bad. And I actually was able to get the truck out of there and drove it home.
Roof flopping all the way home.
One time I was high. I was in Boston doing a moving job, and I was trying to park the truck, and I crushed this little Geo Metro, and the lady was there, and like we're doing a moving job, and I tell my buddy, I was like, listen, we got to do this moving job real quick and get out of here. And the lady's like, aren't you going to put a note on that car? So then I just scribbled some stuff on a piece of paper and put it there, and I don't think I've ever moved that fast in my life.
Right.
Oh,
So I was a mess, you know what I mean? Like I was very irresponsible, and I was out of it.
yeah.
When I was 26, like I was at that point spending like $2,000 a week just to maintain my opiate habit, So I had to hustle as hard as I could. I got into like moving a lot of drugs, me and a friend of mine, I made a connection through one of my fishing buddies out west, and this kid was sending the drugs in cars and the car carriers, and it was coke. But this kid had all kinds of connections for like the West Coast drugs, like the meth and the black tar heroin and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I brought one of my buddies in on the deal, and when I was away fishing, I had my friend was taking care of business. So when I came back, I was on a long trip. I was up in Maine. When I came back, I got a Mexican kid in my house. I got the kid that I dealt with. I got a pound of crystal meth, and I got 125 grams of black tar heroin. I hadn't. It wasn't my order. You know, it was my friend's. And my Mexican connection's like, listen, your buddy pretty much told me to go fuck myself. He doesn't want to pay the price for these drugs that I told him he had to pay to begin with in the agreement. And being me, the guy that I am, I said, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix all this. And then I talked to my other partner who I've been working with, and I told her, I said, listen, you were supposed to be watching the ship, you know, and like, this is not good, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And so I set her out there to try to fix it and try to get rid of all this stuff. And she had been dealing with a confidential informant, somebody that talks to the police and gives them information. So they had already reported us, and we had an investigation on us. So eventually we got busted. I remember the day she was in the house. She was selling the drugs, and she called me. I was at my buddy's house. She said to come to the house. So I came to the house. I pull up. I get out of my car, and next thing you know, I got like 9 federal and drug task force agents surrounding me, guns drawn, telling me to get on the ground, screaming my name. And like, you just know in that moment, like, that's like a bad feeling, you know?
Yeah.
That's a bad feeling.
I come from
Yeah.
equestrian town. What am I doing on the ground? with
I
gun in
ride
my hand?
horses. I ride horses. Yeah.
I come from Hamilton.
How did I get here? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Yep.
man.
So I took a hard hit that day, and it was meth. It was heroin. I got federally indicted.
Oy.
You know, I never, you know, and after that, I told all the people I dealing with, I just said, listen, it's all over. I'm in trouble. And, you know, I had to go through the whole court system, you know, dealings. They let me out on bond. I fought for bond for 5 months, and like, you know, I didn't have many options. It's 10-year minimum mandatory. So me being me,
Wow.
making all my brilliant decisions like I used to back in those days, I decided to cut my bracelet off. I fled out to California. I was like on the run, hiding out.
Oh,
Nice.
no.
Yeah.
Wicked smart.
Yeah, it was a wicked smart. That was a wicked smart, you know, drugged up Boston guy move for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know, I ended up getting caught out there. I think somebody told on me out there, and you know, I was up to my old tricks out there too. My buddy out there had a weed dispensary, so I was smoking weed and selling. I was gonna sell weed for him, and then I was getting ready to get back into pills. I'd found a connect, so it's not like I learned any of my lesson or anything, you know.
No.
So yeah, they shipped me back. I ended up getting sentenced. I got, you know, sentenced by the feds. Gave me 12 and a half years for that one. That was
Wow.
my first prison sentence. Never done
Wow.
time. I did 20 days in Middleton prior to that. You know, and I did been in drug treatment in, you know, my younger years.
So where'd you go for the feds?
Well, the feds is like a big winding system of
Yeah,
chaos.
You'll be here, and then they'll ship you here, and then they'll ship you here.
Yeah.
But there's certain federal prisons like you
Yeah.
know, Marion, Leavenworth, like those.
Yeah, so it was like this Pan's Labyrinth of a system, right? You start in like pre-trial, so they stick you in like a holding. They call them holding unit, holding facilities. Plymouth, for example.
Yeah.
Oh, it was awful. I was there for 5 months. But that was before I got bonded. Then I was in Wyatt for like, you know, 15, 16 months waiting to get sentenced. And like, I went outside like 3 times to go to court dates when I was there. They just keep you in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those places are designed to get people to plea out. They want you to plead guilty. Plead guilty, take the sentence, and keep it moving. They don't
Yeah.
want you going to trial.
Yeah.
So,
Huh.
and that's what I did. I just pled guilty. I got my sentence. I had a great lawyer. My lawyer was Paige Kelly at the time. She's actually a judge magistrate now. I found out she runs the drug program for the feds. She was awesome. She helped me out a lot. If it wasn't for her, the prosecutor would have snuck in there and tried to get me 25 years. She tried to pull the okey doke on me. So
Yeah.
Paige saved me from that. you know, I love to sing her praises. She was a good influence. I remember, I'll tell you guys a story about her. I was in a meeting with her, a conference meeting about like what we were going to do. And then I was, you know, on my little soapbox crying about how, you know, oh, poor me. I was out there selling drugs to fishermen's and, you know, I don't deserve all this time.
Yeah.
I'm a drug addict, you know, and she looked at me with the most serious look, and she's like, methamphetamine is like one of the worst drugs. It destroys families. It keeps mothers from taking care of their children. It's a biohazard. People die in meth labs. They catch on fire and burn to death. And she's like, this stuff isn't even on the East Coast. She's like, you know, they are very upset with you, you know, and this is not a small matter. And I just had to sit there, and I just had to. I remember that was like the first time where like I was ashamed. Like I sat in it. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, she was just like, suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't catch you with fucking powdered sugar. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah. So when in the feds, I ended up doing. I was in Wyatt, like I said, got sentenced. I went to Otisville Medium. That's where I started my time. It was they sent me to a medium security prison. It's one step below a penitentiary. Penitentiaries are like gladiator schools. Not a lot of happy things happen there. You know, those guys are really aggressive. Those are the more violent. Mediums are more like middle of the road. You know, guys can graduate from penitentiaries with like life sentences and stuff, and they kind of retire to the mediums. It's usually guys with 10 years or more sentences, a lot of drugs, bank robbers, stuff like that. Come to find out, robbing banks is an addiction because I've met guys that just like continuously like on the life installment plan rob banks. Yeah, it's fascinating, right?
Wow.
I never would have thought.
It's wild.
It's a rush. You know what I mean? I'm sure.
I'd ask him, I'd be like, so what are you in here for? You know, he's like, the guy's like 70 years old. I've been robbing banks, you know, and the guy's been, you know, caught like 7 or 8 times, and they keep doing it. So that was fascinating to me, but that's a little interlude on that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like when I was in jail, like I kind of came to the conclusion I was needed to change, like something, you know what I mean? Like the drugs was a problem, you know, and
Yeah.
I took all the programs. I started reading. I have a very active mind. I need stimulation, so I just read all the time.
Yeah.
I got into self-help. I got into like reading about philosophy and religion. There was my family was helping me with college courses. I was going to do mathematics of all things. I was, you know what I mean, because I have a good mind for like, you know,
Numbers.
math and numbers and engineering, like you know. And then I started thinking, and I'm looking around. And I'm surrounded by people, and I was like, why not do the psychology, right? Because I'm like a great testing ground, and I ended up getting a psychology degree.
Wow. In jail.
Yeah, I got associate's degree, and there was a woman coming in there, and she was a professor for Queensborough Community College. Her name is Professor Franca Ferrari, and she was amazing. We used to talk a lot, and I told her I was trying to get a college education, and her husband sponsored me. And
Cool.
my family helped, but they helped pay for the majority of the degree.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was
cool.
amazing. Like, you know, like that just really fell in place, and like, so I did it, and I had so much time that I really read the books, and I was just really curious about like what, like that was the question, what's wrong with me? Like why? Because even in prison I would drink the White Lightning when they make
Homebrew and shit.
Yeah, the guys would make White Lightning. They make it out of freaking, you know, old rotten fruits and hot balls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sugar packets if they could get them.
Yeah, anything.
Yeah.
Bread.
Jelly. They'd squirt a whole thing of jelly in there.
I got pinched for making homebrew when I was in Bridgewater, and I didn't even know what the fuck homebrew was. I had in my Foot Locker, I had bread, real sugar. We found the stash of the cops' sugar, and Kool-Aid, or an orange or something. They were like, "You're making homebrew." I'm like, "What the fuck is homebrew? What are you talking about?" So, like, I was a worker, and I was in the what they call it, the bubble, I think.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, that's it.
Into the
You're
bubble.
you're going across the street to the Wild Wild West."
Oh,
And
okay.
then they sent me across, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, this is my first time ever locked up, 30-day bid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had no idea what homebrew was.
That's where I was locked up. My first time was the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
For the 30 days. But the difference was I was, whatever I was, 30 years old. But when I was 17, I had worked all throughout that area putting up the fences.
With the razor wire and
So
shit.
every
Nice.
with the razor wire. So every window I'm looking out, looking. Oh, I remember doing that.
Yeah.
I remember being here and leaving. At the end of the day, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then 2 short months later, I'm at Plymouth House Correction, fucking doing it all over again with Fed guys, state guys, friggin' INS guys. You know, like Plymouth don't care; they'll take anybody.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I was there. Yep.
Yeah, I was there in 2001.
Yeah, they had INS guys over in 2008 when I was there, and yeah, those guys would just sit there, you know, forever.
And it could be the middle of the night, and all of a sudden, boom, 25 guys are getting taken out of their cells, and they're fucking putting them on a plane, deporting them.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They wouldn't lead up to anything. I don't know when it's happening, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're gone.
I can remember being in there with guys who were there for the 30 days, but after the 30 days, they're getting lugged, you know, and they're just doing push-ups, and they're doing sit-ups, and they're eating every scrap of everything they can get a hold of.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're getting ready, you know.
So now you realize that you need a change. You get an associate's degree in psychology. So now what do you do?
Well, like I got clean, right? I got clean in prison. 'Cause I dabble here and there, you know, like I was.
Now, was there any program, any treatment?
I took a non-residential program for like 8 months. I go to meetings. They had meetings and stuff in prison. I go to groups. You know what I mean? Like they had victim impact groups and stuff like that I go to.
Yep.
I ran the groups. I was like a mentor. I worked in education. I was like a tutor for 3 years in the medium. Like I did all the positive. Like I was a joiner. You know what I mean? Anything positive I could do, I just jump on board.
Yep.
So a lot of that was drug related, addiction related, family related, community related. Like and like that was like my way of staying stimulated, but my way of learning of like
it was your way of doing the time and not letting the time do you.
Exactly.
You know,
Right.
Like you got to stay involved. Like you sit in that cell, man. You're gonna get angry.
Yeah.
You're gonna get angry.
Absolutely, yeah. You got to stay active like that. You got to program. That's what they say. Like you're in prison, you got to build like a program.
Yep.
So you know, like Don King said, I convinced myself. I was like, I'm gonna use this time. And Don King said, I didn't serve time. Time served me. And I wanted to have that mentality. So that's what I was doing. But I did slip back into my old ways. I went to Danbury for. They moved the girls out because they weren't really like maintaining the prison. It was getting run down. The kitchen was amazing, I'll tell you that, because they had everything there. Big bakery, the food was great, the kitchen was really nice, but the prison itself was in disarray. They brought the guys in, and I go there. I get a job over there, and I ended up doing like a certain job in the maintenance over there. I was working second shift, so I'd work from like 4 and up until the night, and we got hooked up with. There was a really cool officer over there. And, you know, we started bringing stuff in. So we were able to get him to bring cigarettes in for us. And I started hustling cigarettes. Back on my hustle again. My hustle game, you know, me and a few other inmates, you know, like. So a carton of cigarettes on the pound was like $2,000, right?
Wow.
Yeah, right? It's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's $200 for a pack, you know?
Yeah. Paying $10 to smoke.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's what I was doing. And I had all, like, once again, my head, like, with all the grandiose ideas. I'm like, if I sell this, you know what I mean? We sell this many cartons of cigarettes over a year. I could stay here. I'll just keep pushing them to keep me here. And I'm like, I'll make all this money. And then I'll have the money sent to my family. And, you know, I was really trying to hold the position. But, like, while we were doing that, like, we had a lot of popularity. So I started smoking K2. And I started smoking weed again. I wasn't drinking, and I was smoking cigarettes. I had quit cigarettes. I started smoking cigarettes again, and I thought I was super smart. I was like, oh, this is great. You know what I mean? I'm getting, I'm getting high again, and but
running a criminal empire out of a federal prison.
Yeah, it was not good. It was not good. But I thought it was great at the time. But something happened, something different. I got scared.
Oh yeah.
I got paranoid. Because I was smoking weed. I thought I was gonna get drug tested. I was gonna get in trouble. And then like one of the other kids that was working on this with us, he said they were getting tobacco, like a big bundle of tobacco. Come to find out, the guy that was bringing it in opened it up. It was a big bundle of K2, which is an illegal narcotic, coming into the prison. And, you know, and I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm involved in this. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't I didn't order it. I didn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't me. But I was like, if I get caught up in this, then I could catch another indictment. You know, I got scared. I didn't want nothing to do with it. But I was afraid to be like, hey, guys, I'm leaving, because I didn't want to have any problems either.
Right.
So at that point, like, that was when my life took, like, a new turn, like, internally. I just, like, I felt like this kind of, like, this paralyzing fear, like this shame. And if my family found out, and what am I going to do? I was like, this has got to stop.
It's like a moment of clarity.
Yeah. It was a moment of clarity, but it was like a moment of, like, just like this sick feeling. It was awful. So, but it actually ended up working out. I think the kid that was, you know, doing all the, he was bringing in the other stuff. He pushed us out. I ended up getting fired from that job, you know, like, randomly. When I had this counselor, he was like the head of the union over there, and he pulled us, me and the other kid in his office, who I was good friends with to this day. And he's like, I got some bad news for you guys, you know. And we're like, well, what's going on? He goes, I can't say nothing. He's coming from the higher ups, but you guys are fired. You know?
Yeah. Which was the best thing that could have happened, right?
Yeah, and it was a relief. And we were like, whoa, why did we get fired? You know, but inside I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
Right, you know, thank God, you know. And after that, that's 7 years ago. I've been sober ever since.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah, I've been clean and sober ever since. And I made that decision. I was like, I'm done with this, you know, because I care about my family. I care about myself. And I'm going to work on this. And that's what I did. So from there on in prison, I went to a camp. Like, I ended up leaving there. I went to a prison camp at Devens in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, there's no fence there. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of older financial guys there. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's like my retirement home for prison. I just
So what did you end up serving the 12?
I served 11 years on the 12 and a half. Yeah.
So how long have you been out?
I've been out 1 year and 3 months, like 15 months. I've been on the streets.
Wow.
That's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah. Now, when you got out, you were institutionalized a little bit. You were paranoid. You didn't want to. I met a lot of people who did a long time.
Yeah.
And we bring them next door from the rehab to the store, and they'd be like, "I don't like this. I got to go back." You know, did you experience that at all?
I was nervous, right? But when I got home, I'd convinced myself in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna do well. Like, I'm gonna live a good life. I'm in recovery. Like, I got out. I knew who I was. I was in recovery.
So you were doing recovery stuff in jail, in prison.
Yeah, I used to go to the meetings. I was part of this wicked great group in the minimum security prison called Outreach. It was run by a social worker, and her name was Miss Coons, and she was amazing. And she would take us to high schools and colleges, and we would tell our story. It wasn't like
Right.
Scared Straight. It was like we really focused on decision making, our lives and our stories, and what caused us to get in trouble. And everybody was involved, like people, like financial guys that were stealing money on Wall Street, the drug guys. Like she brought in like a eclectic group of guys.
Yeah,
Right. From all backgrounds.
That must have been a great experience.
Oh, and I loved it, man. I went to Wellesley, I went to Clark, I went to a lot of like the high schools in the area,
Mm-hmm.
and I spoke to the students, you know, and
Nice.
it was really good. And
So is that program still going on today?
yeah, it's still going on
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
prison. Yeah, it's a great program. She
Cool.
was amazing, and yeah, so I did stuff like that. Like I just continued doing that stuff when I was locked up.
So that's good. I mean, that I'm sure that helped you when you were faced with, okay, it's time to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right.
When they said today's your last day, you'll be out of here tomorrow.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. Preparation is huge. Like when you're locked up like that, like the only thing you really think about all the time is what am I going to do when I get out? How am I going to prepare myself for success? Who am I going to be? The identity thing.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Changing that narrative. So like that was a big part of my narrative, was like recovery. I will say, you know, I did break rules occasionally here and there. We'd smuggle in some Chinese food, or, you know what I mean? Maybe like some clothing or stuff like that, you know, like some underwears or something.
Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
you got to do what you got to do sometimes. You know what I mean?
So I will say this: before I got out, like maybe a year before I got out, I worked off-site on the Army base, and I had access to a cell phone. So I was looking around, trying to figure out like what am I going to do. I was looking at recovery groups. I looked at Refuge Recovery, Dharma Recovery, AA, NA. I was learning about some of the newer groups, like the yoga-based groups for recovery.
Yep.
And like, cause I'm an active person, like I want to see like what's out there, what's the landscape like what am I gonna do? And when I got out, I was like excited. I'm like, here I am. I'm in recovery. There's gonna be so many activities. I'm gonna have so much fun. I'm gonna meet all these people. I'm gonna build like a new kind of like groups of people for myself. And I did. Refuge Recovery. I went to a bunch of those meetings. Those were good. I went to Namaste Sober meetings and became friends with them, and they were great. I went to Brooklyn Boulders and was climbing and got into rock climbing. I'm a member of the Phoenix. I got involved with
the
them.
gym?
Yep, the
With
gym.
Lee?
Oh
Yeah.
Lee Soares.
Yeah.
Good
I
dude.
got I got one of his cards and a sticker he gave me.
Yeah.
I never
He
got
does
up
some
there,
pretty
but
he does some pretty awesome graffiti too.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I love that stuff.
He does. Yeah, we had a woman on here, Susan Lordy. She runs 24-hour power, and they go around. She has a Winnebago, and they go around and like do graffiti wherever.
Yeah.
And it's all sober people. It gives people something to do.
yeah,
but
graffiti
then,
where people want it.
yeah,
Really? That's,
Yeah.
you gotta hook me up with that because I
And-
love
and-
that. That's
and-
awesome.
I mean, things have changed since friggin' COVID, like fucking everything else in life. But hopefully, once but she still had events. There was an event once a month at Buffalo Wild Wings in Brockton. They provided all the food, and like you just go there and you either paint canvases or whatever.
Wow.
It was awesome.
That's
but,
amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and
pretty cool.
she's always looking for people to help and plug in and do stuff. You know what I mean? Because she does it all on her own as well. But I mean, obviously, you set yourself up for success while you were in there.
Yeah, I learned
And
yeah.
you're breaking the rules, but it was to better yourself.
Yeah,
you
for a
know.
good reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the idea is that you had a purpose. I mean, determination. You can't have determination without any kind of purpose.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You got to have a purpose, and you made a decision, which gave you a purpose,
right.
and then you got your determination. So that's a good
And
combination.
you've
there.
also started some groups on Facebook, right?
So yeah, so like that leads into this.
To
like,
to bring other people together.
I had trouble finding like a lot of stuff to do, like enough stuff for me and like enough connections. So
Mhm.
I moved back on the North Shore, and it was in my head, and I wanted to do recovery for a career. Like I've been thinking about it. It falls in line with a psych degree, and like
Mhm.
my whole psych degree really fell in line with like because I love people and want to understand people, but understand my problems, my addictions, and be able to help people with their problems and their addictions. So I started a career in recovery. I work at a Danvers Detox right now, overnights, which I
Yep.
love my job. I'm going to be there tonight working, helping the guys,
Nice.
giving them support, because they're going through like the beginning stages, like
Yeah, like you're on the front lines. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's you're not gonna forget where you came from when you see it every
Yeah.
day.
yeah,
You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yep. So and I realized I was like, there's not enough out here for people. Well, my area in the North Shore, I was like, there needs to be more. There needs to be more connection.
Mm-hmm.
So I started this group called North Shore Boston Sober on Facebook. And I made it just localized, just for people, within like Boston, North Shore area to offer. And like, I encourage people to post treatment options like the detoxes, CSS, TSS, that have post activities, events, Zoom meetings. People post meetings, NA, AA, and it's just and I post events like I do all like this Saturday I'm doing a polar dip.
Oh yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, I got big into like I'm afraid of cold water, so I was like, you know what, let me confront my fear, and I jumped in the ocean one day when not too long ago.
I think I seen the post.
Yeah.
You want to learn some stuff, dude.
The Wim
Do you
Hof.
know about Wim Hof?
Everyone keeps
Yeah.
telling me about this Wim Hof guy. It's
Telling
crazy.
you, man, he's the
It's
Iceman.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
The Iceman. This dude
Yeah.
climbed Everest in a pair of shoes,
I heard
boots,
of him, yeah.
and shorts.
Right. He didn't summit it, but he almost made it. But I mean,
And
Come on.
like he, just check it out. We won't.
All right,
Let's
I gotta
not go
get
into-
to-
yeah,
I
'cause we
gotta
gotta
learn
wrap
more
it up.
about this guy. So yeah, and one of the big things we've been working on as a group of us, there's a core group, and everyone's involved. It's a community venture. Is
I just put it in the comments actually. So
yeah, recovery
I
center.
threw it in there.
A recovery center on the North Shore, because we have all kinds of resources, but they're not bridged. They're not available within like a central hub where people can just come and look.
Right.
You have to dig and search, and we want to make everything available and run our own programming within the community and help people, especially like a lot of families out there, because there's like a lot of like elite, like wealthy, upper class people.
Doesn't it blow your fucking mind that it's 2020 and people don't know what to do if their kid has a drug problem?
Yeah, it's
Like-
I hear it all the
And
time.
and they could have millions of dollars, and it's like, I don't know what to do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter like where you come from. That's why, we're out at SSPR and like people will just stroll in and be like, "Wow, what is this place?"
Yeah.
It's some people just still don't know
Yeah.
whether they choose that or whether it's just their lifestyle, how they were brought up, like what they choose to see and what they don't see, But to have a place like that where it doesn't matter how you got sober or what you need, recovery starts in the community.
you can find
Yeah.
it there. Yeah, that's the point.
Recovery starts in the community.
You need people that have been there, like people that are suffering from, they call them substance use disorders nowadays.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
hard for them to relate to people that haven't been down that road. So people like us, we offer the best advice because we know. And,
Exactly.
And we've, we're in recovery. So we learned how to, work with our disease, the things. Like for me, if I were to go out and start drinking tonight, like that's just going to spiral out of control. I can't do that.
Right.
And I understand that, but I live a happy, functional, happy life. I love my life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Right. And I've
There you
seen
go.
people that I
That's-
met,
That's the key.
and
right
I've
there.
seen people that I've met in recovery, hang around here for a number of years and then go back and live somewhat normal lives. They drink, they smoke weed, and they're okay.
Yep.
For me, I know my truth. I know that that's not me.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether, they're okay with what's going on, that's fine. But for myself, I don't even want to test those waters.
And everyone's
Yeah.
recovery looks different. And
Yeah,
you're right,
absolutely.
You got to
And-
meet people where they're at.
And exactly, you got to meet people where they're at. I was very close minded, like early in recovery, and for a few years after, it's like, no, it's got to be this way. You got to do it this way,
But
When-
that's what you needed. That's what you
Yeah.
got. You needed what you
But
you were.
it was
And it
also
worked for you.
it was also a lot of, here, take my advice. I'm not using it. Like I'm telling everybody what to do, but I'm not practicing it myself.
yeah.
So now it's like, I don't care what it is. If it helps and it's gonna make me feel better, let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Whether it's yoga, meditation, fucking going in cold water, I don't care.
It's all
Right.
got to be there. And
Yeah.
it's got to be available. Like, that's the thing. I want it to be easily accessible and readily available for everybody. I want an event every single night. I don't want someone in recovery to sit home and be like, this sucks. Because I went through that stage
Yeah,
coming into recovery, new on the street. I was like, man, I'm lonely. I went back, started hanging out with some of my old friends and watched them get all drunk in front of me and like act like buffoons. And I was like, I can't do this. This is not
Yeah.
my life anymore.
And-
Right.
and it's
not it's not a good idea.
it's different. I'm telling you, like 10 years ago, there was fucking something going on all the time. Like I helped start young people's groups. We had a group on Walston Beach that we started. Like there was always something going on, but I don't know like when there was like a shift, and like people weren't really doing the whole fellowship thing, and like single people and people without kids and all that shit like need shit to do.
Yeah, we need it.
Right.
You definitely, and
yeah.
it also needs to be there for those other people when they do have the time.
Yeah.
But it
Well, I think you have to have an example of a good life that people are leading that's not just dull and always
Right.
You
Right.
gotta have You can have fun too.
Yeah,
I
it's
had
attraction,
examples-
not promotion. People want to see it.
Yes. Yeah.
I had
right.
examples of people who were fun in
Yeah.
in early recovery. They were having a blast. And
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
dragged me along with it because I was miserable. But when I was with them, it was like, okay, I can laugh. I can have a good time. We can do stuff like bring everybody back from the meeting and have a Texas Hold'em tournaments. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And drink a million Red Bulls and have a blast and
Yeah.
laugh and everybody's yelling and you
And
know what
like
I mean?
you can only go out to eat so much.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what a lot of people. Oh, let's go grab food after. Yeah, that's fine, but like, what else are we gonna do?
Yep. So that's what we're doing, and
Very good.
I'm trained to be a recovery coach, and like one of the things I noticed, like a lot of people, because people have been talking to me, people through the group, because they'll contact me, I'm in a problem.
Yeah,
So they talk to their child or whoever has a substance use disorder, and that communication with them is always like, "You have a problem. There's something wrong," and I try to tell them, I'm like, "Well, you're making them feel bad, So, as a person in recovery, as a person that's training to work with people that suffer with substance use disorders, my communication is always like, I understand. Like, what can we do? How can I help? Like, what
Yeah.
do you want to do?
yeah, exactly.
It's never there's something fundamentally wrong with you. You got a problem. You need to do this, or it's always about the individual and what they can do for themselves to live a happy lifestyle, and and be like a part of the people's lives that their family members or the people that are around them. Because
Right.
they want to do that, but sometimes they don't know how. So that's what we do. We give them the tools. We help them help themselves.
Meet them where they're at, like we
Cool,
said
very
earlier.
good.
And I tagged it in here. North Shore Boston Sober is the group that you started for people to get in touch with each other. Definitely what you're doing, I think, is awesome.
Yeah. Excellent.
We do a lot of events. We'll bring this podcast to wherever.
To live events, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be
We-
great.
we
Yeah,
did-
You guys are welcome.
We
for
did
sure.
the Sobriety Rocks concert last year in
Yeah.
Situate.
Yeah, we did
We've
a couple
been
of
to
Revelations recovery things.
yeah, we've done awards banquets.
Yeah.
We had friggin' Timothy Cruz and Joseph McDonough,
Yeah.
like
Joe
the sheriff
McDonough.
and the district attorney.
Okay.
Like,
on the podcast.
on
yeah.
the podcast. We were
Wow.
at a fucking Buffalo Wild Wings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we go to South Shore Peer Recovery Center and we watch fucking the Pats with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hanging out watching the Patriots game.
Yeah.
Like I was in. That's where I got sober. It was Plymouth House Correction. That's
Okay.
where I found Alcoholics Anonymous.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like your journey, I know. Like
Yeah.
it was my duration in jail wasn't as long as yours, but the path is very
Yeah.
the parallels.
If you done one day, That's all.
Yeah. Exactly.
Good stuff, anyway. And,
Yes, and I appreciate you reaching out to us.
yeah, thanks a lot for coming on.
We're right about there. We're just over an hour, so that's usually what we do.
Yeah.
And like I say all the time, anyone that wants to be on here and share their story, please reach out to us, inbox us, throw something in the comments.
Yep,
Always looking for a guest.
we need guests.
Is there anything else that you want to plug before? When's your little polo thing?
Oh, that's my polar dip is on Saturday at 10:30 at the Halfway Point House on Nahant Beach. It's a bathhouse, a halfway bathhouse on Nahant Beach. We're gonna meet there at 10:30 a.m. on Saturday. If anybody wants to jump in freezing cold water in the
Right.
ocean.
Good times. All right.
Awesome.
All
I
right.
appreciate you coming
All right,
on,
thanks,
Marshall.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
And yeah, hopefully we'll be back on next
We'll
week.
be back on next week.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
Bye.